Welcome. What you are about to watch is not science fiction, and it is not folklore. It is a serious investigation into one of history's most compelling unresolved questions: the mystery of Newgrange, Ireland's 5000-year astronomical computer. Across the world, in universities, research institutes, and field excavations, serious scholars are wrestling with evidence that does not fit the accepted story. Evidence that has been documented, measured, and peer-reviewed, and that still has no satisfying conventional explanation. We are going to look at that evidence carefully, without prejudice in either direction, not dismissing what is extraordinary, but not accepting it without scrutiny either. The truth, as always, is in the details. On the winter solstice, something extraordinary happens at Newgrange in Ireland. For approximately 17 minutes, as the sun rises over the horizon, a narrow beam of light penetrates a 19-meter passage in the 200-year-old megalithic monument and illuminates the inner chamber in a blaze of golden light. This has happened every year for over 5 millennia. Newgrange is older than Stonehenge, older than the Great Pyramid. It was built by Neolithic farmers in the Boyne Valley of Ireland around 3200 BC, using 200,000 tons of material without any metal tools. The precision of its solar alignment, accurate to within a few minutes of the solstice, confirms that its builders had sophisticated astronomical knowledge accumulated over generations of careful observation. This is where our investigation begins. Stay with us, because the further we go into the evidence, the more extraordinary it becomes. The story you think you know is only the surface. Beneath it lies something far more remarkable. Let us begin. Before we examine the specific evidence, we need to step back and understand the context. This case does not exist in isolation. It sits within the global puzzle of unexplained ancient construction, and to properly evaluate what we are looking at, we need to understand the broader picture that surrounds it. Catastrophism, the idea that Earth's geological and cultural history has been shaped by sudden, violent events rather than gradual processes, was once the dominant paradigm in science. It was then largely displaced by uniformitarianism, the principle championed by Charles Lyell in the 19th century that the present is the key to the past, and that change occurs slowly and continuously. The pendulum has since swung back. Modern geology and astronomy have confirmed that catastrophic events, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, rapid climate shifts, have profoundly shaped Earth's surface and life upon it. The Chicxulub impact that ended the Cretaceous is the most famous example, but it is not alone. The Younger Dryas cooling event 12,000 years ago caused radical shifts in human habitat within decades, not millennia. The Bronze Age, collapsed 3,000 years ago, ended multiple interconnected civilizations in a generation. These events matter for archaeology because they reset the evidence. A major catastrophe does not merely destroy a civilization, it destroys the record of that civilization. Survivors carry only what they can remember, and memory degrades with each generation. After a few centuries, the grandchildren of survivors have myths where their grandparents had engineering manuals. What archaeologists find when they excavate ancient sites is not the full picture. It is the fragment that survived the last catastrophe. The full picture may be forever gone, preserved only in the ambiguous traces that puzzle researchers to this day. This context matters because it tells us something important. What we are about to investigate is not an isolated curiosity. It is part of a pattern that researchers in multiple fields have been independently documenting for decades. And patterns in science demand explanation. With that foundation in place, let us now turn to the specific case at hand. Now we reach the heart of the matter. The core evidence surrounding Newgrange, Ireland's 5000-year astronomical computer, is more extensive, more verified, and more troubling for conventional explanations than most people realize. Let us walk through it systematically, fact by fact, and allow the evidence to speak for itself. We are not going to speculate here. Every point that follows is documented in peer-reviewed publications, official archaeological records, or government archives that are publicly accessible. The question is not whether these facts are real. The question is what they mean. Consider this first extraordinary detail. Newgrange is a passage tomb and megalithic monument in County Meath, Ireland, dated to approximately 3200 BC by radiocarbon dating. It predates Stonehenge by approximately 1,000 years and the Great Pyramid by approximately 600 years. It is one of the best preserved Neolithic structures in the world. This single data point, if taken in isolation, might be set aside. Anomalies happen, instruments malfunction, researchers make mistakes. But as we continue, you will see that this is not an isolated anomaly. It is part of a consistent and documented pattern. But that is only the beginning. Researchers also discovered the monument consists of a large circular mound 85 meters in diameter and 13 meters high, surrounded by 97 curbstones. The mound contains approximately 200,000 tons of material. A 19-meter passage leads to a cruciform chamber at its center, with corbelled roofing that has remained waterproof for 5,000 years. Now, a skeptic might propose an alternative explanation for this, and that is entirely reasonable. We should always test alternative explanations before accepting extraordinary ones. The problem is that the alternative explanations, when examined carefully, create more problems than they solve. The mystery deepens when we examine. The winter solstice solar alignment was not known to modern scholarship until archaeologist Michael O'Kelly climbed to the site on the winter solstice of 1967 and observed it directly for the first time in recorded history. The alignment operates through a roof box, a special opening above the entrance that admits light to the inner chamber only at solstice. This is where the conventional account begins to strain. Each individual fact might be dismissed or minimized in isolation. But the cumulative weight of the evidence is another matter entirely. Perhaps most remarkable of all, acoustic research at Newgrange has found resonant frequencies in the chamber at approximately 110 Hz, the same frequency identified at the hypogeum of Hal Saflieni in Malta and at other prehistoric monuments. Researchers have proposed that Neolithic builders across Europe deliberately sought acoustically resonant spaces for ritual purposes. Researchers who have examined this evidence have described it as genuinely difficult to explain within the accepted framework. These are not fringe commentators. They are credentialed academics publishing in mainstream journals, raising questions that the field has not yet satisfactorily answered. Then there is the matter of the curbstones and internal surfaces of Newgrange are decorated with elaborate megalithic art, spirals, lozenges, chevrons, and abstract patterns that represent one of the largest collections of prehistoric art in Europe. The meaning of the symbols is not known. What makes this particularly significant is its independence from the previous points. This is not a case of one theory requiring another. These are separate lines of evidence converging on the same uncomfortable conclusion. Adding to the enigma is this finding. The triple spiral motif at the entrance of Newgrange is one of the most recognizable symbols in Irish cultural heritage and has been interpreted as representing the three cycles of the sun, Wiley monthly and annual, or the three-part structure of the passage tomb complex, Newgrange, Noth, Douth. This single data point, if taken in isolation, might be set aside. Anomalies happen, instruments malfunction, researchers make mistakes. But as we continue, you will see that this is not an isolated anomaly. It is part of a consistent and documented pattern. Equally puzzling to investigators, the builders of Newgrange transported its stones from up to 70 kilometers away, including RGE slabs of orthoquartzite from the Wicklow Mountains. The logistics of this transport using only human labor over difficult terrain is still not fully understood. Taken together, these facts form a pattern that cannot be explained by coincidence, misidentification, or methodological error. Each piece of evidence has been examined by skeptics. Each has been subjected to alternative explanations, and in each case, the alternative explanation falls short of accounting for everything that has been documented. We are left with a body of evidence that demands explanation and an accepted narrative that does not provide one. This is where serious inquiry begins. Now that we have established the evidence, we need to examine the theories that researchers have proposed to explain Newgrange, Ireland's 5,000-year astronomical computer. This is where the debate becomes most intense, because the theories reflect not just different interpretations of the same evidence, but fundamentally different assumptions about what is possible and what the past looked like. Understanding these theories is not just an academic exercise. Each one has been championed by serious researchers with genuine credentials, and each one captures something that the others miss. The truth, if it is ever established, will likely draw on elements of several. The first major explanation proposed by researchers holds that Newgrange was a funerary monument and ritual center whose solstice alignment was designed to illuminate the bones of the dead at the moment of the sun's rebirth after its longest night, a symbolic resurrection that integrated the dead into the cosmic cycle of solar renewal. This is the most widely held archaeological interpretation. This interpretation has significant academic support and is backed by substantial evidence, but it is not without problems. Critics point out that it requires assumptions that go beyond what the evidence strictly supports, and that key predictions of this theory have not been confirmed by subsequent research. It remains contested, and the contest is productive. A rival school of thought argues that Newgrange's combination of solar alignment, acoustic resonance, and elaborate symbolic art suggests it was a multisensory ritual environment designed to produce altered states of consciousness in ritual participants, a temple of transformation rather than merely a tomb. This theory is controversial, and deliberately so. Its proponents argue that the evidence demands an explanation outside the conventional framework. Critics counter that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that the evidence presented, while suggestive, does not yet meet that standard. The debate continues in peer-reviewed literature. Perhaps the most unconventional theory suggests that the builders of Newgrange were part of a broader Neolithic Atlantic European culture that shared astronomical, acoustic, and architectural knowledge across a network extending from Ireland to Malta, whose sophistication has been systematically underestimated in historical narratives focused on urban civilizations of the Middle East. What is striking about this debate is not merely that experts disagree. That is normal and healthy in science. What is striking is the quality of the disagreement. Serious researchers, working from the same body of evidence, reaching genuinely different conclusions. That level of fundamental disagreement, when it persists over decades, is a signal that something important has not yet been understood. The question is not which of these theories is right. The question is whether any of them is right, or whether the truth is something that none of the current frameworks has yet been able to capture. The case surrounding Newgrange, Ireland's 5,000-year astronomical computer, does not rest on speculation alone. What distinguishes this investigation from pure mythology is the existence of documented, physical, verifiable evidence, material that has been examined by credentialed researchers and whose authenticity is not seriously disputed. What is disputed is its interpretation. Let us review the most significant documented evidence as objectively as possible. We are not going to cherry-pick the data that supports a preferred conclusion. We are going to lay out what exists and let you draw your own assessment. Physical evidence supporting this account includes the solstice alignment of the Newgrange passage has been confirmed by direct observation and precise astronomical measurement, establishing that the alignment was deliberate and required careful planning and observation over generations. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Investigators have documented Radiocarbon dates from organic material in the passage confirm the construction date of approximately 3200 BC, making Newgrange the oldest precisely dated solar-aligned monument in the world. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. On-site analysis revealed the corbelled roof of the inner chamber has remained waterproof for 5,000 years without mortar or modern materials, demonstrating the extraordinary architectural knowledge of the Neolithic builders, specifically their understanding of how to manage water drain. Age in a stone structure. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Each individual piece of evidence might, in principle, be explained away. A single anomalous artifact might be misidentified. A single anomalous date might reflect contamination. A single anomalous eyewitness account might reflect misperception. The question is whether all of the evidence can be explained away, and whether the explanations required are more or less plausible than the evidence itself. When multiple independent lines of inquiry converge on the same conclusion, that convergence is the most powerful signal in empirical science. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. We have examined the history, the evidence, and the theories surrounding Newgrange, Ireland's 5,000-year astronomical computer. Now we need to ask the question that is sometimes overlooked in discussions of ancient mysteries. Why does this matter? What does it mean for us today? It would be easy to file this away as an interesting historical curiosity, a puzzle from a distant past with no bearing on our present lives. That would be a fundamental mistake. The questions raised by this case touch on issues that are directly relevant to who we are, where we came from, and what the human story actually looks like before the period covered by conventional history. Newgrange is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of Ireland's most visited tourist attractions. Each year, approximately 50,000 people apply in a lottery for the 50 places available inside the monument during the winter solstice. The monument has become a powerful symbol of Irish national identity and pre-Christian heritage. Ongoing research at the Boyne Valley complex continues to reveal new details about the society that built these extraordinary monuments. People who had no writing, no metal, and apparently no need for either to build structures that have outlasted every civilization since. Furthermore, the tools available to investigate these questions are advancing rapidly. Satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, ancient DNA analysis, isotopic tracing, and deep-sea sonar are all providing capabilities that previous generations of researchers could only dream of. Cases that were genuinely unresolvable 10 years ago are now open to new analysis, and the findings, consistently, are expanding rather than contracting the mystery. The investigation continues. New discoveries are being made. New analyses are being published. New voices are entering the conversation from disciplines that were not previously part of the discussion. The answers, when they come, and they will not merely solve a historical puzzle. They will force a fundamental revision of assumptions that underpin our entire understanding of human history and human potential. We have now walked through the complete case of Newgrange, Ireland's 5,000-year astronomical computer, from the historical record, through the physical evidence, assess the competing theories, and into the modern significance of what remains unresolved. What the story of Newgrange ultimately reveals is not just a historical puzzle. It is a mirror. It reflects our assumptions back at us, our assumptions about what ancient people were capable of, about how knowledge is gained and lost across the centuries, and about the relationship between what we know and what we merely think we know. The evidence presented in this documentary is real. The questions it raises are genuine. The debate among researchers is ongoing, and that is healthy. Science is not a set of conclusions. It is a process, and the process requires that we remain open to evidence that challenges what we thought we knew however uncomfortable that challenge might be. If you came to this documentary as a skeptic, we hope the evidence gave you something to think about. If you came as a true believer, we hope the critical examination gave you a more nuanced picture. The truth, as always, lies in the evidence, not in what we want to be true. Thank you for watching. If this investigation sparked your curiosity, please subscribe to the channel. We publish new documentaries every week, covering the full range of historical mysteries that the mainstream has not yet adequately explained. Leave a comment below telling us which case you want us to investigate next. The conversation continues. The investigation never ends.